The thoughts and opinions regarding Dark Shadows and Strange Paradise are my own. While I might express a dislike for a certain segment from either soap, you won't hear me bashing any actor on either series, or completely trashing any of the storylines. My aim is to be as respectful and professional as possible, as I know fans can feel very personal about their favorites. Please keep this in mind if you leave a comment on YouTube, or any of the other platforms for this podcast. Collinwood and Desmond Hall, grand estates, shrouded in mystery, marred in death by a reluctant participant, a protagonist haunted by his deeds, yet unable to resist surrendering to his curse. Tonight, two Gothic gold diggers will find themselves getting more than what they bargained for in this Dark Paradise.
When you are done, you must cover the ground with leaves. There must be no trace of this grave. This is the last time you will have to do this before we go back to Maljardin. This must be done so that we can end this curse. But if I fail, you understand what must be done. We must destroy the Master. We must dig his grave and bury him in the earth, as we have buried the dead tonight. And we must do it together, you and I.
Here in this unmarked grave lies our first gold digger, Annie Harrigan, who was born on January 23rd, possibly in the year 1940, and died on January 26th, 1970. Miss Harrigan was a resident of Desmonton and worked as a waitress in the town's only restaurant. My information regarding Annie Harrigan is rather incomplete, so I must consult a very valuable source. Here we are. A copy of The Devil is Eternal, the unofficial Strange Paradise companion, written by... If that isn't Ruxel or Court Desmond, I'll... Can't you see I'm in the middle of... This won't take long. The listeners need to know the truth. The book was never... Everyone just go to the website, strangeparadise.net. Annie Harrigan was portrayed by... No! That can't be right. It says here, the name of the actress who was cast was not recorded. What? She was hired for a day or two, and then once taping ended, she vanished into thin air, never to be heard or seen from again. Hey, where'd she go? Huh? Oh well. I'm afraid all I can offer you is a presentation of what befell Miss Annie Harrigan. A recreation starring my own cast. Mindy Raskinen as Emily Blair, Michael Coleman as Jean-Paul Desmond, Mark Kalita as Laszlo Thaxton, and Andrea Richardson as the doomed gold digger, Annie Harrigan.
Mr. Desmond? Somebody!
Oh, Miss Blair.
There's someone knocking at the door. I didn't know whether to answer it or not.
Well, it's not a very pleasant evening. I'll answer it.
Well, it's about... Oh. You must be Jean-Paul Desmond. I didn't expect, a personal meeting.
Come in.
It's so chilly out. It's so dark.
I'm sorry you were kept waiting.
Oh, you're a gentleman like...
Miss Emily Blair? Miss...
Oh, I'm Annie. Annie Harrigan. Miss Annie Harrigan. Hello.
Hello, Miss Harrigan. If you'll excuse me, Mr. Desmond, I'll go back to my work.
You are Jean-Paul Desmond, aren't you?
I am.
Does she, work for you, that one?
Oh, no. She's just studying here.
Well, that's a relief. Because, you see, I came to see Laszlo. He knows me and where I work, and I was hoping I could get a job. Work here. 'Cause you're here and all your friends and everything.
Yes?
And, so there must be a lot of work here. And Laszlo knows the kind of work I do and so forth. Oh, I'm a waitress.
Oh, I doubt if we have any need for a waitress, Miss Harrigan.
Annie. Oh, I do other things. Open the doors and even housework. If the house is nice enough.
Well, my housekeeper manages most of the work.
Can I see Laszlo?
Raxel, would you announce that Miss Harrigan is here?
Wow. Oh, but I do want to work here. I really do admire Mr. Phillips. Oh, I don't know. He used to come into the tavern and he always seemed like such a gentleman. Well, like I'm sure you are. You're married, though, aren't you?
No, my wife died.
I'm sorry. I mean, we all have to have somebody, Oh, boy. This is such a beautiful house and everything. The stairs and the pictures. Well, I know some people say it's spooky, but I always knew it would be beautiful.
Oh, good evening. I did not know we were expecting you, Miss Harrigan.
I just decided to drive up here, that's all. Mr. Desmond has been very nice to me.
Annie's been looking for some employment. Perhaps Ada could use some help?
Oh, I'm almost certain she couldn't.
It's okay. You don't have to stay around. I can handle this myself.
Well, it's been a pleasure meeting you, Annie.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
What are you doing here?
You said you'd get me a job here.
I don't recall it.
I guess there's a lot of things you don't want to recall.
I want you to leave. Now.
Who's Ada?
My wife.
I guess we don't want to see her, do we? Or, maybe I should see her. Alone sometime.
Get out! If you ever come back here, I will not be responsible for what happens to you.
You promised.
Please, go. I'll see you again. I promise.
You'd better. Oh, say goodnight to my new friend, Mr. Desmond, for me. Tell him he'll be seeing me. Oh, Mr. Desmond, I'm so glad it's you. I kept knocking, but nobody came. But I was hoping it would be you that would answer the door.
It is me, Annie.
You see, my car got stuck along the cliff road, near that old gatehouse. I tried to fix it, but I don't know anything about cars. Could you help me? Come with me. Maybe we can see it from here when the lightning comes up and... Mr. Desmond, I thought a gentleman like you would help me, and that when the car is fixed, maybe I could drive you into town and we could have a drink or something? You and me?
I'll help you, Annie. Come. You're not afraid, are you? Don't be afraid, Annie. We'll have to wait in here, in this gatehouse, until the storm subsides. I can't get the car started until the weather breaks a bit. You mustn't be afraid.
I'm not afraid, Mr. Desmond. I'm not afraid because I'm with you.
There, that's better. You're a very pretty girl, Annie. And a very sweet girl.
Am I? For somebody like you to say that, Mr. Desmond, it makes me feel pretty.
But you are, Annie. I'm sure lots of men have told you that before.
Oh, some. But I didn't believe them.
Do you believe me?
Yes. Why are you staring at me like that? Come over here and sit by me. It's very cold in here. I think it's very cold. Do you think it's cold?
We have a flame to keep us warm, Annie. And your beauty.
I never heard anyone talk that way, Mr. Desmond. Like poems or something. Your brother...
What about my brother?
When he stopped into the restaurant, when he was waiting for a train or something, he talked like that. Nice and... Oh, but you're much handsomer, Mr. Desmond.
Am I?
Oh, of course. Of course you are. Don't you know what an elegant man you are? Oh, you're much too nice to be snobbish or anything.
Annie, when you came back to the house, you came to see me, didn't you?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Why, Annie?
Do you want the truth?
Yes.
I don't know anybody like you, Mr. Desmond. The people I know, you see, they've got no respect. No respect at all. Well, they say mean things to me. They do. You must know the things they say about me isn't true. Would you say I was bad, Mr. Desmond? I mean, do I look like I'm very bad?
You're a very fine girl, Annie. But you just don't know.
Don't know what, Mr. Desmond?
Annie, I think I better start the car.
Mr. Desmond? What is it, Mr. Desmond? What's the matter, Mr. Desmond?
Nothing. I'm all right. I'm better now, Annie.
Oh, I got a shock. I didn't know what happened to you. Your face got so pale and... Did you see something out in the storm?
No. No, nothing but the rain.
But you did look awful. I could help you, Mr. Desmond. If you'd let me. Really, I could.
I'm sure you could, Annie.
Thanks.
Annie, tell me about yourself.
Me?
Yes. How you live, what you think.
Think? I don't really think much of anything. At least as seldom as I can. Life in this town is pretty dreary, Mr. Desmond. Oh, no fault of yours, of course. I used to be very happy. When I was little, my father worked and my mother cooked and bought us clothes. I mean, what does anyone want when they're younger and everything's comfortable?
I don't know. What does anybody want, Annie?
Anyway, things go bad. Lately, it's gone bad. I work in the restaurant and I hate it. Well, I don't mind working, but they pick on me. Or it seems like everybody has such big problems that they gotta take it out on somebody else. And that's me. Understand?
Yes, I understand. I'd like to help you. I would. Sometimes we can't help the people we'd like to. And if I were you, Annie, I would leave. Right now, I would run out of this gatehouse. I would go out into the storm. I would run! Run into the town before...
Before what, Mr. Desmond?
Just run, Annie. Run!
No, I won't go. I won't leave you. Mr. Desmond, what is it? I don't mean to be rude or anything. I just meant that I'd stay with you. I like you, Mr. Desmond. Really, I do. I thought you were going to help me. Please! Mr. Desmond, stop! Please! No! Stop! Ah!
Whoever this actress was, she made me want to know more about Annie Harrigan. We can catch a glimpse of the potential this character had. It was clear she was a gold digger, but she also may have had a vulnerable side to her that she only shared with Jean-Paul Desmond while he was under the influence of the Mark of Death. I feel like the writers Cornelius Crane and Ron Sprout who wrote the episodes she was in, episodes 69 and 70, simply wrote her to be the victim, someone in the wrong place at the wrong time, to make the audience see more of Jean-Paul's dark side. In that regard, she was pretty important for being such a minor character. I have plans to begin an origin story for Annie in my series, Cursed Dwellings.
I return to the town I once called my home, in a place where I hope not to be found, among the inhabitants of Collinwood.
I don't know why you and everyone else is talking funerals when there won't be one.
Be sensible, Elizabeth. We both heard Dr. Reeves' diagnosis. I imagine he'll want to come here straight away and confirm what we already know.
Cursed Dwellings, a Dark Paradise saga, was created by Rachel Pulliam for Soul Twin Audios.
Over the years, I've had the fortune of befriending other Dark Shadows and Strange Paradise fans, and some of them were kind enough to join me in this recreation of all the scenes Suki Forbes appeared in. My special thanks goes out to Scarlett, my good friend and the horror host of her own original televised show, The Mansion of Mystery.
For nearly a decade, The Mansion of Mystery has been entertaining cinema lovers the world over.
Hello, I'm Scarlett. Welcome to The Mansion of Mystery. Our movie tonight is Incubus, starring William Shatner.
The Mansion of Mystery in the year 1897. A trial is being held to determine the fate of a woman from another time. It isn't going well for her.
I'm back. And it looks like I'm still not in control of my own show.
I'm not trying to take over your show. In fact, I want you in the next act.
I don't know that that's a good idea, but I also don't think I have much say in the matter.
Now you're getting it?
Watch Mansion of Mystery every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern at www.themonsterchannel.com and every last Friday of the month at www.horrorhost.net.
From her trailer alone, you can tell how creative and witty she is, drawing inspiration from both Gothic soaps while inventing unique characters of her own. If you would like to watch an episode of her series, I highly recommend her episode, Some Bunnies Watching Me. It's located in the description of this episode below. In the meantime, listen for her as Countess Natalie Dupre, alongside her son Colin Reboy, who is playing the part of Nathan Forbes. Joining my recreation cast are devoted Dark Shadows fans and fellow creators, Bobby Lugosi of Lugosi Theater as Barnabas Collins, and Catherine Gonzalez, who composes her own songs and often collaborates with Bobby in the role of Millicent Collins. Ed Bjorndal, a wonderful voice actor friend of mine, steps into the roles of Mr. Mooney and Joshua Collins. You've most likely heard him in my adaptation of The Turn of the Screw, and as Shiloh Steele in my Salubrious Falls series, and introducing the amazing voice actress Elaine Mather as Suki Forbes, who I hope to work with on other projects.
Greetings, loyal listeners. I am Vincent the Reaper Tierney, stepping in for a moment to interrupt this recreation to pose a question to you.
This better be a really good question.
Oh, it is. And you, of all people, will appreciate it.
Go ahead, ask your question.
What would Dark Shadows have sounded like as an old-time radio serial?
You know, that's a very interesting idea, one that we could certainly explore in the future.
Or now. Colin Sport in the year 1795. The scheming gold digger Suki Forbes has just arrived in town.
Okay, that's enough. You win. I'll do my best to give it that golden age of radio sound. And for fear of copyright infringement, we will not be using the original music.
Thank you.
Well, what's your pleasure, Lieutenant?
Rum, the best you have.
Ah, you set the date, have you?
No, almost, but not quite. I'll do it in a day or two. What's happened to your trade, Mr. Mooney? It's usually quite crowded in here this time of night.
Aye, but these attacks they've been having lately, they've got the village scared half to death. Why, women won't let their husbands leave them unprotected.
Can't say I blame them.
Neither can I. I sure hope they catch the culprit so trade will get back to normal. You know, I'm not overly fond of bad times.
Nor am I, Mr. Mooney. Nor am I.
Oh, I'm sorry, miss, but a lady must be escorted by a gentleman.
It's all right, Mr. Mooney. The lady's with me.
With you, sir?
Yes, and she'll have whatever the lieutenant is having. Well, I always know where to find you, don't I, Nathan? You're either in the arms of another woman, or in the nearest tavern.
What are you doing here, Suki?
Why, I came to see my husband because I miss him so.
Stop it. Now tell me what you want.
I waited 8 months after you left Baltimore, darling, and when I didn't get one letter from you, not to mention a little financial support, well, you know how worried I get. I began to think you didn't love me anymore.
How did you know?
Here you go.
How did you know I was here?
Why, you're in the Navy, Nathan. Sailors are never very hard to locate.
You ought to know.
Are we going to be civil to one another? Or shall I awaken this charming little village to the fact that I am your abandoned wife?
You'll do no such thing. You didn't come here out of any great love for me or just to see the local sights. Now just tell me what you want. I try to get it for you, and then you can go back to Baltimore.
Nathan, I just arrived and you're already trying to get rid of me.
We had an agreement. You're not to follow me anywhere.
We also agreed you would send me money once a month. You didn't keep your end of the bargain, so why should I keep mine?
You know as well as I do the Navy doesn't pay very well, and my expenses here have been greater than I anticipated.
That means there's a woman.
No, there's no woman.
With you, Nathan, there is always a woman. Who is the poor soul?
I tell you, there is no one.
Nathan, if you weren't feathering a nest with some local innocent, you wouldn't be quite so anxious to get rid of me so quickly. So who is she?
Oh, what difference does it make? You couldn't possibly know her. It's not a serious thing anyway.
I expect she thinks it is.
Suki, how much do you want? To get out of Collinsport on the next carriage.
I expect she also doesn't know that you're already married.
You gonna give me your price, or do I have to?
Do you have to what, Nathan? You're hardly in a position to do anything, you know. I mean, you are legally married to me. I even brought our marriage certificate along to prove it. Somehow I anticipated you being obstinate.
All right. How much do you want?
How much do you have?
Whatever I've been able to save. Maybe a few hundred?
Be specific.
I don't know how much. Maybe 300 or 400.
Make it 4.
Only if you promise to get out immediately.
Let me see the money.
I have it in my quarters. I'll go get it for you now.
My, you are anxious to get rid of me.
There's a carriage leaving at daybreak. I'll also arrange for you to be on it.
As long as I have what I came after, I have no desire to stay here any longer than necessary.
Mr. Mooney, bring the lady another drink. I'll be back in a few minutes.
I take it the lieutenant is a regular customer of yours.
Aye, he's an old friend of yours.
You might put it that way, yes.
Well then, you're gonna stay about for the celebration, are you?
Celebration?
Well, didn't he tell you he's planning to be married?
Oh, well, he did say he was planning to surprise me later. Perhaps that's what he meant.
Well, it ain't every young man who gets to marry a Collins.
Is that Collins, as in Collinsport?
Aye. There ain't much in this town that the family don't own.
And Miss Collins must be very wealthy.
There ain't very many more wealthier.
Isn't that interesting? How do you do? I'm looking for... Nathan! Dear, dear Nathan.
Suki,
Oh, how delightful to see you again. You're looking just as handsome as ever. Nathan?
Millicent, I can explain.
Oh, forgive me. You must be one of the Collins family.
Yes, this is Miss Millicent Collins. Millicent, this is...
Suki Forbes. How very nice to meet you.
Suki. Forbes?
Yes? Oh, you don't mean Nathan has never told you.
Suki?
Told me what?
Well, that he had a sister.
No, he never did.
Oh, Nathan, shame on you. He's always been terribly forgetful about certain things, haven't you, dear?
Yes. I'm afraid I have.
Nathan, you don't look very happy to see me.
Oh, well, I am... Just that seeing you here is such a surprise.
But I like surprises. Don't you, Miss Collins?
Sometimes, yes.
Well, I hope I haven't arrived at a bad time for you.
No, of course not. Won't you come into the drawing room, Miss Forbes?
Thank you. Oh, what a beautiful house you have, Miss Collins.
Oh, no, it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to my cousin Joshua. I'm just visiting from New York. Won't you sit down, Miss Forbes?
Why, thank you.
Tell me, are you planning to stay in Collinsport for a while?
Well, I really haven't decided yet. Anyway, I think that would depend on Nathan.
Oh? What does that mean?
Well, dear, we haven't seen each other in so long. I'd like to be able to spend a lot of time with you.
Well, I don't know if that's going to be possible, Suki. See, my work at the shipyards takes up almost all of my time, and...
Oh, Nathan, I'm sure Cousin Joshua would allow you time off to spend with your sister. After all, if she's come all this way just to see you.
That's very sweet of you, Miss Collins. Nathan, your friend is very thoughtful. I think she and I are going to become fast friends. Oh!
Miss Forbes, what's the matter?
I saw a man's face at the window. Forgive me if I startled you. I don't usually scare easily, but there was something evil about that face.
Well, I don't see anyone outside.
It must have been your imagination, Miss Forbes.
No, I definitely saw a man's face. I'm sure of it.
Are you going to be all right?
Yes, I'll be fine in a moment.
Millicent, perhaps a cup of tea would help her feel a little better.
I'm afraid Cook has gone to bed.
Oh, well, would you mind making it?
Well, no, of course not.
All right. What's your game?
What's my game? Oh, Nathan, you get more amusing all the time.
You gave me your word you'd be on that carriage leaving this morning.
That was before I found out what your game was.
What are you talking about?
Come now, do you think I'm a complete imbecile?
I want you to be out of here tonight, Suki.
No, Nathan. I have found Collinsport a lot more interesting than I thought it would be. I think there might be definite advantages for me staying here a while.
You're not going to stay, and that's all there is to it.
Oh? And who is going to make me leave?
I am.
How?
Listen to me, Suki. This is not what you think it is.
It is precisely what I think it is. And I found out about it thanks to your unbelievable conceit.
What do you mean?
You're such a social climber, and the trouble is you're unable to hide it. You just couldn't resist letting all the common folk in the village in on your great triumph.
I swear to you, this is different. I happen to be in love with Millicent.
Pure rubbish, my dear husband.
Be quiet.
You're in love with her money, and as a matter of fact, I'm growing rather fond of it myself.
I gave you $400 to get out of here this morning.
But you didn't tell me about this, my dear. You neglected to mention you're about to snare quite a fortune.
How much more do you want?
Patience, my dear, patience. There'll be plenty of time for us to decide that.
No. I'll give you whatever you want, but you have to get out of here now.
But you need me here.
Oh, stop being absurd.
I'm not. You see, I'm sure lovely Miss Collins doesn't have her family's consent yet. And even if she does, you don't have mine.
Here it is. I'll pour it for you.
Oh, thank you, Miss Collins. Nathan's just been telling me what a nice place Collinsport is.
Oh? Is that all he told you?
Why, yes. Is there something else he should have told me?
Well, I thought he may have mentioned something about it by now. Nathan, May I tell your sister?
Tell me what?
Nathan and I are planning to be married.
Married? Oh, Nathan, how divine. Didn't I tell you he was forgetful?
Joshua, I've been looking for you.
Have you?
Yes, you must speak to Josette. You must tell her to leave Collinwood immediately for her own good.
Speak to Josette?
Yes, she won't listen to me. She must listen to you. Simply tell her that she has to leave here.
Is
something wrong?
I went to his grave.
What?
I went to the place where we laid Barnabas to rest. The ring, his ring, he was wearing it when we buried him. Somehow, it is now in Josette's possession. I don't understand.
Nor do I. Josette must leave this place.
I opened his coffin.
Joshua, what are you saying?
I opened the coffin that my son was buried in, and there was nothing there. The coffin was empty.
The coffin was empty?
Yes.
I don't understand.
There is only one possible explanation. Some unspeakable scoundrel robbed his grave.
What?
There are unscrupulous people that steal the bodies of the dead and then sell them. Mark my words, Countess. The man who did this will be caught and hanged.
But no one but you and Mrs. Collins knows where Barnabas is buried. Even I do not know.
2 of the servants knew. The 2 that carried the coffin to its final resting place.
But you trusted them implicitly.
Yes, I do. But there's also Ben Stokes.
Surely you don't think Ben is a grave robber?
I just don't know.
He was so devoted to Barnabas. Besides, how did Josette come by the ring? None of it makes any sense.
There has to be a logical explanation. There has to be.
All I know is that I'm frightened. Something strange is happening to Josette. The way she keeps calling for Barnabas and...
I beg your pardon. Am I intruding?
No.
It was awfully kind of you to let me stay in your house. I hope it's no imposition.
Not at all, Miss Forbes.
Your niece. I passed by her room a few moments ago. She sounded awfully distressed about something.
Really?
Yes. She kept calling to someone. She kept repeating the name over and over again. I believe it was... Barnabas. Barnabas Collins is the gentleman who went to England, is he not?
That's right.
And the gentleman whose portrait hangs in the foyer?
Yes.
Mrs. Collins did sound distressed. I do hope everything's all right.
Come with me, Joshua. Let us both speak to Josette now.
All right. Do excuse us, please.
Of course.
Suki?
Well, hello, brother dear. What a pleasant surprise.
You alone?
At the moment. I'm sure you've come to call on your lovely fiancée.
Where is she?
Upstairs, resting. Please come in. The poor dear needs to rest a great deal of the time. It would seem the strain of all that money tires her terribly. But then I'm sure you'll ease her with her burden, won't you?
Don't talk that way. Somebody's going to hear you.
There's nobody nearby. They're all upstairs.
Let's go into the drawing room.
Why not?
All right, Suki. It's time to stop playing games. How much do you want?
You're always very direct, aren't you, dear? It's a quality I admire in a man.
I said it's time to stop playing games. Now there's a carriage leaving Collinsport. How much is it going to take to get you on it?
Oh, you're asking me to make a decision. And you know I've always been dreadful at making decisions.
I said how much?
Shall we say $5,000?
5,000?
In gold.
You know I don't have that kind of money.
Ah, yes. But fortunately for the both of us, dear Millicent does.
Be reasonable. How can I ask Millicent for $5,000?
I'm sure you'll find a way. You've always had a way with words.
Suki.
You asked me to name a price, Nathan dear, and I have. I won't settle for a penny less than 5,000.
You know what you're asking is totally out of the question.
Is it?
Yes, you know it is.
Nathan, you underestimate yourself. I mean, think of what dear Millicent is getting. Surely a husband as handsome and devoted as you are is worth $5,000.
Even if I could lay my hands on that kind of money, it would take time.
Take all the time you want. I'm perfectly willing to wait.
I want you out of here now.
Then get the money from Millicent. It's that simple.
If I refuse?
Then I'll have to show Millicent a little document I'm sure she'll find quite interesting. It's called a marriage license.
You wouldn't do that.
Oh, wouldn't I?
No, because if Millicent breaks off her engagement, you won't be able to get another cent. You know that as well as I do.
That's right, I do. But I also know that breaking up your little romance would give me a great deal of satisfaction. After all, Nathan, although you'd prefer to forget it, we are still man and wife.
Be quiet.
Let go of me!
Not until you listen to reason. I am not going to be black.
Lieutenant Forbes?
Countess.
Oh, we were just having a little family argument. Nathan is a dear, but he does tend to get a little over-emotional.
You must help us look for Josette. She's disappeared.
Disappeared?
Yes. I'm terribly worried about her. We must find her. We must.
What do you suppose that was all about?
I don't know. How much do you think she overheard?
Nothing.
We can't talk here. It isn't safe, but we've got to get this thing settled tonight.
I'm perfectly willing to reach a settlement with you as long as you meet my terms.
Well, we can't discuss it here. We have to find some place we won't be overheard.
Ah, a secret rendezvous. How exciting.
There's another house on the property. No one lives there anymore. We could meet there.
Yes, I already know where it is. Dear Millicent took me on a tour of the grounds just this morning.
All right. You go there, then. I'll join you in a few minutes after I've had a chance to pay my respects to the family.
All right. But don't keep me waiting. You know I don't like that.
Don't worry. I won't.
Oh!
Who are you and what do you want here?
I didn't know anyone was here.
Answer my question. Who are you?
My name is Suki Forbes.
Forbes?
Yes, I'm visiting at Collinwood. My brother is engaged to one of the members of the Collins family, Nathan Forbes. Perhaps you know him.
You're Nathan Forbes' sister?
Yes.
What are you doing here?
Nathan is going to meet me here. He told me about this house. He promised to show it to me.
At this hour?
Yes.
You're lying.
What?
I don't know why you're here, but I do know you're not who you say you are. You are not Nathan Forbes' sister.
Oh? Then who am I?
You are his wife.
His wife?
Don't bother to deny it. He had no living relatives, so you could only be his wife.
Well, what of it?
Why are you at Collinwood pretending to be someone you are not?
You ask a great many questions, don't you?
You want to live.
What?
If you do, then listen to me and listen well. Leave Collinwood immediately. Don't offer any explanation or speak to anyone. Just go and never return. Above all, never tell anyone what you have seen here tonight.
Oh, why are you threatening me?
Don't ask questions. Do what you're told to do.
You're in no position to threaten me, you know. You may know a few of my little secrets, but I happen to know a few of yours, too.
What do you mean?
I know who you are.
Who am I?
Barnabas Collins.
No, I am not. Barnabas Collins is gone.
So I'm told. And yet, why do you look exactly like the portrait of Barnabas Collins at Collinwood? You are Barnabas Collins, aren't you? And yet your family says you've gone to England. And everybody seems to believe it. Now, I find that curious. This cloak.
Put that down!
It belongs to Josette, doesn't it?
Don't mention her name.
She disappeared from her room at Collinwood. Is she here? In this house?
You should have done what I told you to do. You should have left here when I gave you the chance.
You don't have to worry about me. I'm very good at keeping secrets. You'll find I'm rather cooperative when other people are cooperative with me. And I'm sure a man in your position would be quite willing to cooperate with me. Mr. Collins? Mr. Collins? Mr. Collins! Oh, where did he go? He just disappeared, almost as if... Oh, I don't want to wait here any longer. I'm going to get out of here. Oh, I thought I... Nathan? Nathan? What's that noise? What is it? Nathan? Nathan, where are you? Oh! No! Get away from me! Get away! Oh, where did that thing come from? Oh, where did that thing come from? It just appeared out of nowhere. Oh, Mr. Collins? Mr. Collins? Oh, Nathan, where are you? He said he'd be here in just a few minutes. Oh, what's keeping him? Oh, Nathan? Nathan? No. Oh. Oh, no. Those eyes. Staring at me. Staring straight through me. It's almost as if it weren't human and were trying to kill me. Oh, Nathan, please come. I'm frightened. I'm so frightened. Please. Oh, I don't believe this is happening.
I tried to warn you, but you wouldn't listen.
Oh, please.
It's too late now to offer any mercy to you. Much too late.
Oh, no.
Suki?
Nathan!
Suki!
Help!
Suki, are you in there? Suki! Suki, what happened? Who did this to you? What are you saying? Suki?
Does anyone else find it interesting that both Suki and Annie met their demise the same way, by being strangled? But here's my question to you. Why couldn't Suki have stuck around longer? I mean, since when do vampires strangle their victims? By the time he meets Suki, he already took care of Angelique, sort of, and Ruby Tate, among others. He was so thirsty and didn't develop into his powers until later? Sorry, I don't buy it. He could have placed Suki under his thrall, or, better yet, turned her into a vampire. Vampire Suki? I'm all for it. Ooh, the ideas, they're spinning in my head. Vampire Suki. Love it or loathe it. Suki Forbes is one of my all-time favorite day players, and unlike Strange Paradise, Dark Shadows mostly credited its cast, even the minor roles. Jane Draper was only 22 years old when she took the role of the scheming gold digger Suki Forbes in 1968. According to information I learned on Danny Horn's website, Dark Shadows Every Day, Jane was in a play with Thayer David and Grayson Hall in 1966 called Those That Play the Clowns. It's highly possible that both cast members put in a good word for Miss Draper, and so when Dan Curtis needed someone for this part, maybe she was the first actress they thought of. Hire her, Dan! She's terrific. And she really was. We only get to see her in a few scenes over the course of 5 episodes, 2 of which she doesn't even speak and isn't credited, but she is so wonderful in the role of the deliciously evil and manipulative first wife of Nathan Forbes that you can't help but take notice of her. I would have loved to have seen Suki and Angelique have a face-off, or better still, bring Jane back to play another character like Daniel Roget or something like that. Danny Horn also wrote about how he was a fan of Jane and would have loved to know more about her story and how she was on the show, because, in his words, she was great. He asked people to comment if they knew about what happened to her, and lo and behold, Suki Forbes herself replied back in 2020. She writes, "I am the Jane Draper who played Suki on Dark Shadows. Thought I'd be on it longer, but got killed off by Barnabas. I worked on Broadway, film, and this soap opera. Now I play bluegrass, always my passion, on guitar and upright bass. Born in Illinois, grew up in mostly southern Indiana, and moved to New York City in my teens. It makes me so happy to hear Jane is doing so well. Her character, short-lived though it was, inspired me to create my own original character based on her amazing performance. A character I won't mention in this episode, but a couple of my very close friends who are into Dark Shadows and who used to write Dark Shadows fan fiction with me will remember this character and know exactly what I'm talking about. Perhaps my character will find her way back to Collinsport someday, and maybe make an appearance in my fan fiction audio drama serials. Join me next time for one of the most controversial Dark Paradise episodes yet, The Problem with the Witch and the Voodoo Priestess. Coming soon to the Gothic Topic podcast. You've been listening to Rachel Polium's Dark Paradise Retrospection, Episode 4, the podcast where Dark Shadows and Strange Paradise collide. The Dark Paradise and Tierney's Tales of Terror theme music, along with one incidental piece, was composed by Ross Bernhardt, with other incidental music composed by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. A full list of credited music by Kevin is available in the description section. This episode wouldn't have been possible without the voices of Mindy Raskinen as Emily Blair, Michael Coleman as Jean-Paul Desmond, Mark Kalita as Laszlo Thaxton, Andrea Richardson as Annie Harrigan, Ed Bjorndal as Mr. Mooney and Joshua Collins, Colin Reboy as Lieutenant Nathan Forbes, Elaine Mather as Suki Forbes, Catherine Gonzalez as Millicent Collins, Scarlett Kaiju as Countess Natalie Dupre, Bobby Lugosi as Barnabas Collins, and a very special guest appearance by my favorite frenemy, Mr. Vincent Tierney, straight out of Salubrious Falls, portrayed by the amazingly talented John Bell. Dark Paradise was created and written by Rachel Pulliam and is copyrighted in 2024. Thank you for listening.